know what's running on a website or what's running on a host, what kind of services are out there. Are they running a web server? What's that web server? Is it IIS? Is it Apache? What version is it? Right? Or are they running, what ports are open on their machines? Oh, they have FTP open. What version of FTP is open? So we need to fingerprint machines and kind of understand. But on the passive side, we're not touching any machine, right? So we're not going to be doing much scanning against a host. We just have to utilize what kind of information might already be out there. So if we go out to a website, it's on the border of active, but as long as we're not scanning it, in my book, it's still passive. So we will cover some of the passive/active side in this section, and then when we get into scanning, we'll get way more active with it. Lastly, we're going to hit heavy, especially in the beginning, on data breaches. Data breaches are the most common way when we're doing an external assessment that we get into networks. Absolutely by far. When we talk about data breaches, we're talking about breached incidents from the past that have leaked data. Again, these are like Home Depot, Equifax, LinkedIn, all kinds of breaches that are out there that have had credentials dumped, and then those credentials become available to us eventually, and we try to utilize those to gain access, or at least utilize the usernames to gain access. Nowadays, most of the time, there's not going to be an easy just scan, find something vulnerable, and exploit it on the external side of the house. So we're looking for these data breaches and this information that we can gather. And this is why information gathering and then enumeration and scanning, most important by far. The better scanning and enumeration that you can do and the better information gathering you can do, the better hacker you're going to be and the better you're going to be at your job. So take these first two sections really serious. So we're going to start in with identifying what our target's going to be for this part of the section. And then we're going to go ahead and start talking about data breaches and why they're important and go deeper into that. And then we'll go off some of these tools that you see here on this list and really dive into those. So I will look forward to seeing you in the next video when we identify our target and get some information gathering started. All right, before we begin doing our reconnaissance, we have to establish a client to attack. So for this course, we're going to be utilizing a client out of BugCrowd. If you've never heard of BugCrowd, BugCrowd is a public bug bounty program. What that means is there are programs on the website that will allow you to attack them. And if you find a bug against the program, you're able to submit it and potentially get money for it. So you are able to hack these programs publicly as they are part of this program. Now, the program we're going to be attacking is Tesla. So Tesla is part of BugCrowd. Now, please do note, please double check when you're watching this course, as some time may have passed. Tesla might no longer be part of this bug bounty program. So it's very critical to make sure that you are still within scope before you attack. If for some reason Tesla is no longer in scope, just go ahead and pick a new client and do information gathering on them. You don't have to pick Tesla when we're doing this. You can just do it to follow along with me, but you're also welcome to pick any program you want. So if you go to bugcrowd.com and we go to programs, I will show you where Tesla exists. Now you can see here that they have all different types of programs in here. And if I were to scroll down and continuously, I could find more and more and more. There are hundreds of programs involved, all kinds of names, DigitalOcean, Okta, really big names, Pinterest, Atlassian, anything that you can imagine probably has a bug program if it's reputable, okay? Any of the big names most likely have a bug program, especially if they're reputable. So here you could see what's based on reward, what's based on charity, and what's based on points only. That's how the bug bounties are rewarded. Some of them are not all cash. Some of them are just for points and for kudos, and the other ones are for charity. I'm gonna go ahead and just search Tesla. And when I do that, you can see here that Tesla comes up. Now, this is your first lesson into rules of engagement. And we're gonna talk about rules of engagement later, but it's super important to read the program details that you see here. And what we really need to do is we need to scroll through and make sure that we stay in scope when we're doing this. So we have a wildcard here. So this means that any subdomain inside of Tesla.com is fair game, Tesla.cn, Tesla Motors, etc. What is more important is that we stay within this out of scope. So we don't want to attack shop.eu.teslamotors.com or energysupport.tesla.com. It says you can report vulnerabilities to Bug Bounty for this one. Any domains from acquisitions, such as Maxwell. So we have to stay within Tesla. And there's a few more sites. We're not going to worry too much about that. When we get into the web app portion of the course, we're going to talk about way more detail on enumerating web applications and go into that. So for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on information gathering. What kind of information can we gather from this client? So again, I'm setting my target to Tesla. If you pick another Tesla or another client, just make sure you stay in scope of that client. So from here, we're going to move on to our first video and get our information gathering started. Welcome to the email OSINT section. We're going to talk about discovering email addresses. And this is something that I do on a weekly basis. So I'm going to show you the most common tools that I use to actually look up email addresses and try to find people, and what you can do to kind of verify email addresses. So I'll show you some of my favorite tools and concepts. And this is something that I do because not only for OSINT and doing it for investigative type work, but think about sales. If I'm trying to find a lead or I'm trying to find multiple leads within an organization, I have to figure out where the emails are, who the people I'm trying to email are. So maybe I'll Google them and say, who is the CISO or Chief Information Security Officer for this company? And I might find that it's Bob Jones. And we go look up Bob Jones and we say, okay, well, how do I get Bob Jones's contact information? Can I find it via Google? Maybe it's out there in the public, but maybe we have to dig a little deeper. Maybe we have to kind of do some guesstimation and see if we can figure it out. So that's what we're going to do today is look at the email addresses, formats, and try to determine if we can find some emails. So let's go ahead and move over to the Kali Linux machine that I've got. And the first website is one of my favorites. So hunter.io, you just come to hunter.io. You get like 50 or 100 free searches a month. I don't remember what it is. It's a fair amount. You can come here and basically just type in a company name. So like say I want to type in TCM security, TCM-sec, and you can see TCM security here. We get one result on the email address. So we'll click it and see what happens here. And looks like we have like an info@tcm-sec.com. It tells us, hey, there's 5 sources that identify this. So we see tcm-sec.com. There's an about, blog. So this is where they're finding it, okay? A better example, maybe something that has more users, like Tesla. Tesla has 468 users. If we come in here and we look, well, we can see that they have a pattern identified here. So their pattern they're identifying is first initial, last name at tesla.com. And that's really what we want to see. And then we can gather email addresses here if we want. But say like we knew Bob Jones. Again, going back to that example, Bob Jones. So maybe Bob Jones works at Tesla. Maybe his email would be bjones@tesla.com. So it's something to think about. Now, we can sign up and get actual information here. You should be able to sign up with a Gmail account. Sometimes this does not work depending on the country that you are in. So be cognizant, you might have to use a different email address, but I just tried signing up with a Gmail account that I have on here and it worked just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and try to log in. I'm going to sign in with Google with what's already here. And just now I'm logged in. So we can go back now and try searching Tesla again. And you'll see that the results actually come back. So we get information here now. Let me make this a little bit bigger. We get information as to, okay, here's the vice president. This is the vice president's email address. Project development manager. Maybe you want to talk to somebody in human resources. So you can click here and go to human resources. And then here are the different human resources emails that are here. So, and then the sources that they found these email addresses. So this isn't a particular person in HR, but it's still human resources email addresses. So this looks like it's probably for Hong Kong. This is for Berlin. This is Gigafactory. So they have different email addresses based on where they are. Now, if you looked up TCM security here, you're really not going to find much on us because we don't have a ton of email addresses out there, but I think that we can find more in other ways. Now, so we only get so many usages here. We'll just keep thinking about this as we move forward. So Hunter.io, great resource. They have plugins if you want them. I think it's a fantastic place to look. Phonebook.cz is the next resource I want to show you. This one is fantastic. Let's start with tcm-sec.com and see. So we're going to go tcm-sec.com and we're going to search email addresses here. So they do domains and URLs as well, which I think is awesome. But let's just search for email address, see if anything comes back. No results. Okay, that's okay. Let's try Tesla and see what comes back there. Okay, a lot more. So we get quite a few email addresses. We could see Elon Musk all over the place. We got Elon-Musk, Elon, we've got eMusk over here, and we get a ton of emails. Look at this. So what's nice about this is we can sit here and try to identify what the possible email addresses are. So again, first initial last name looks like it's showing up quite a bit. Outside of maybe like the Elon Musks of the world, we're getting a bunch of mostly first initial last names in here. So I think that's pretty spot on with this. The other thing that we can do is we could utilize this list. Say we're trying to do something called credential stuffing, which we'll talk about in the next section, actually, when we talk about breach credentials. But say we're trying to gather a bunch of usernames and test and see if we can log in with those usernames anywhere. Or maybe password spraying, not so much the credential stuffing, but password spraying, where we take all these usernames and we just throw it at a login form and say, hey, summer 2020 exclamation point. See if that logs into any of these accounts, and you would be surprised. It happens quite a bit. So this is valuable information, even if we don't know exactly. Maybe we're not just hunting for one email. Maybe we're hunting for an entire domain. This is a great way to get free entire domains with a quick copy and paste capability. Like we have the Tesla here, we can export the CSV from hunter.io, but you only get so many results that you can export into a CSV. Here you get a bunch. There's no guarantee these are all valid, but it's still information. Information is what we want. This is all we're trying to gather, is as much information as possible. So these are all potential email addresses for tesla.com. I think it's a great resource. Now, we could also use something like Voila No Bear. Now, this one, you can get 50 more leads for free. I'm not going to show you. It's the same kind of deal as hunter.io. They're showing you how to utilize it here. Basically, you can just search for people and see to try to find their email addresses. There is one I want to show you that I do use and I have quite a bit of success with, and that is called Clearbit. And Clearbit has to be used in Chrome. So I'm going to bring up this here. Clearbit has to be used in Chrome. So you can download the Chrome extension for Clearbit. And all you would have to do is go to Google. Let me log in really quick. And then I'm going to just select the free account. We get so many searches, 100 emails a month. So basically, you're going to search for Clearbit Connect, and you would just say, hey, Clearbit Connect. I'll put a link down below, by the way. But Clearbit Connect is awesome. You'll see why here in a second once I authorize this. Okay, we're going to come down here, acknowledge, probably give out our firstborn. And then now we're going to say, hey, I want to find emails. And here's all different kinds of things that we can sit here and search for. You can see TCM securities in here. These are some searches that I've done. These aren't any clients of mine. These are just searches that I've done in the past, maybe looking for information or looking for possible leads or anything. So if I come in here and I say, hey, I want to look for TCM security, you could type that in. I'm going to just click on TCM security. And look what it discovered that the others didn't. It discovered me. Okay, and if I click on me, look, it says heat.tcm-sec.com. Where did that come from? And then look, it has my LinkedIn right here as well. That's amazing. That's awesome. And it says here, you can email Heath. Just click this button. And then it's also got Rizwan. Rizwan's on my sales team. Look, it's got Rizwan at tcm-sec.com. What does that tell you? That tells you that we're using a first name basis for our email addresses. It's awesome. Now let's come in here and maybe we want to look at Tesla. Maybe let's try Tesla one more time. Maybe we're looking for the CISO of Tesla if Tesla has a CISO. You could come in here and look, like Elon Musk is right here, obviously CEO, but you could come in here and maybe go by role, and they have different roles in here. So CEO, let's see if we can find any sort of CISO. I don't see one, but I do see information technology. So maybe we can find somebody in the information technology department or IT department. And then here we go. We've got quite a few IT people. Here's a CIO. This could be somebody of interest that we might want to reach out to. And we could just scroll through this list and find people. So say we want to reach out to the CIO, just click on this. We get first initial last name, just like we thought we would. We get this person's LinkedIn page. We get their location, website. This is awesome. Awesome, awesome. So I typically will start with a Google search. If I'm trying to hunt something down, I will start with a Google search. I will say, who is in this role at this company? If I'm looking for a specific person at a company, then I will go to phonebook.cz or hunter.io, try to identify the formatting of the email, and then try to find that person or guesstimate that. Once we get to that point, I try not to burn through these Clearbits unless I need to, but Clearbit is very good